on this computer.
Okay.
Yes. All right, so we present Mr. Joseph Solomon.
Thank you for that introduction. So I am Joseph Solomon. Like I said, I run a fitness business here in East Lake, and it's more for, like you said, mental health and spiritual growth, and also about self-awareness. So a little backstory: I lost about 100 pounds before I joined the Navy, and it was something that it really kind of changed my life. But it was the fact that I thought weight loss was going to be my happiness and my joy and my victory over everything. But it ended up really wasn't. I was before that I was on depression medicine. I was on a lot of I was highly depressed. Food was my addiction. I identified myself with food, and it was just all bad. And so coming out of that depression, there were a lot of things that I just learned um, about myself, and especially about goal setting. And so now I do a lot with the young kids, with a lot of the youth. I train a lot of the high school athletes. I train kids who are overweight. I train kids who have been depressed or are currently depressed, and try to just help them out and achieving and finding that they are valid and that they are special and are enough for right now. Helping to get out of that. So that's my passion, and so I'm going to go over goal setting. And I like goal setting because we talk to the kids a lot about it. And it was one thing that I had to grow up in myself to understand really what it was. But I'm really not going to go over goal setting. I'm going to go over the three things that I think that are really important for you to achieve your goals. And so when I say goals, I talk about the object of a person's ambition or effort or an aim of or desired result, the destination of a journey. So a goal is like a path that you're going to go down. It's just not something we say and we attain. So so many times at the end of the year, we always set goals. So we throw these vision board parties as a part of our business, and we get kids and families and we try to get them involved in casting a vision for themselves. And I think a lot of times, a lot of kids and even adults, we've lost our ability to dream. We've lost our ability to vision the future, and with that, there's a loss of hope with a lot of people. And so we try to cast our visions into going into next year. And so I see a lot of people put on the vision boards to lose weight, to make more money, to increase revenue by a positive percentage for the businesses, to spend more time with their family, and so much more. But there are things that I've been noticed when I've trained. I've been doing this for about 12 years. Trained a lot of people that there are three bases that they do not understand in order to obtain a goal. And so those three things are: the first one is a vivid and a vibrant vision, the ability to never let that vision out of your mind. So when we dream and we have vision, a lot of times the life happens, and when it happens, we tend to let go of that dream and then that vision. And we all know what we think about and what we concentrate on is what we're going to achieve. And so there's a proverb that says, where there's no vision, the people perish, but he who keeps the law, happy is he. So with the ability to hold on to that vision and do what it takes to attain that vision becomes happiness, that becomes joy, that becomes success in a lot of people's lives. A lot of people don't have the support. A lot of people just don't understand what it takes to get that vision. And so I see that, especially in high school and a lot of these teens, a lot of times parents are distance themselves from, they're so far off from the high school atmosphere that they forget what it's like to be in high school, and they forget what it's like for the kids that are going through. For example, I have one girl now who she just moved schools at her she's a senior, so she just moved schools her senior year, halfway through, and her parents moved, and so she's at another school, and she keeps telling her parents that, hey, I don't they don't I don't fit in. They don't like me, and her parents are like, no, that's just kind of like you gotta try harder. You gotta do these things. And if you remember being in high school, that's one of the most like clicky places there is. Like, you just don't walk up to people and try to fit in. And but if you look at her record on top of that, her father committed suicide 2 years ago. She's going through a lot of stuff where she needs somebody to relate. So her vision, and I'm, trying to ask her like, so what do you think about the future? But she can't let go of these things right now. Her vision is clouded. Her vision is she has none. And so getting through understanding that a clear and concise vision is necessary, and it drives hope. It gives these kids, and it gives a lot of people hope. People who don't have vision, ask them, you ever sit down and talk to somebody who doesn't know what they're going to do for the next 10 years, their attitude and their demeanor is down. It's trotting, like they can't see themselves out of it. And I see that a lot with a lot of people sometimes when I'm in the Navy, when guys may not know they're trying to get out, but they have they don't know what to do. They feel lost, and then you see their attitudes. They're just down. They don't want to be there. It's hard to get them to work for you. It's hard to get them to do anything. So casting a vision and ability to hold on to that vision, I think, is very key in order to attain a goal. The second thing I say is very important is you have to understand that goals are the future and improved, more aware, educated, and more emotionally mature versions of us. Goals don't come to us, we must go to them. So I think a lot of times we explain that, okay, we want to attain this goal, but in order to get the goal, we have to develop ourselves into the person who that goal is. So when I see people cast vision boards, for example, it's a thing of like, okay, all right, now that we put this vision on here, now how do we get yourself to fit that person in that vision? So what education does that person have? How has that person dealt with themselves, sitting down, turning inwardly in order to grow emotionally to obtain that goal? And these are things trying to get kids to talk about and kids to realize at such an early age that I didn't have when I was young. So growing up, it was hard for me to understand what is self-growth, what is working with yourself. I could read books all day. I could do I could pass all the classes, but really going into business has shown me that it's all about how much I grow. I'm my biggest hindrance. I'm my biggest block in the road. And so it was one of those things that I didn't understand as a kid, taking full responsibility. And no one really showed me. Dealing with conflict growing up, I didn't have it. My parents took everything for me, and so when my biggest thing not this year, but last year, was dealing with conflict. I really didn't know how to do that. And so teaching these kids through training that they go through with me, it's like teaching them how do you face those things with yourself that you normally don't face, and understanding that that's where the real growth is, and that's where you can grow into your goals. So we set goals. So say, for example, it's a weight loss goal. One of the things that we sit down and we think about and we talk about is, okay, let's talk about your biggest fears. Let's talk about your biggest hurdles and how can we grow and overcome these hurdles, and teaching them to be more, how do you want to put it? They take ownership of their lives. A lot of times getting kids to take ownership of their lives is super hard. And even as adults, sometimes it's hard. You'll see adults who don't take ownership of anything. It's hard to be around people like that because self-growth is such a big thing. And it's so needed. And so for us to do that, I say the understanding that we are fully responsible for what we are right now and where we are right now. Until we take that ownership, we can never fully grow into that version that was placed in us. And then again, like I said, a lot of it is book smarts. There's two types of growth. You can throw in knowledge, but you can also grow emotionally. You can also grow. And I think a lot of people, when you're trying to connect in a service, I've learned that connecting is about relationships. The better I can develop a relationship with who I'm working with, the better I can get them to understand where I'm coming from. And I know I coach Coach Ray's daughter, and it's about a relationship. She loves to work out where she didn't love it before, but it's about the relationship that we establish with our clients or with our customers, and realizing that, hey, you're just not another number. I know being in the service, I kind of felt like that as somebody, over time, I went from enlisted to a Navy diver to being an officer, and that at one point I realized that, the only people that, really care about me are my really close friends that took the time to develop a relationship with me. But other than that, sometimes I felt like a number, and I didn't want to work. I didn't want to do it. After a while, I wanted to get out. And I saw that in a lot of the businesses that I went in. And so learning to build the relationships to help people understand their self-awareness is a big key. And so life is ultimately a challenge of self-growth and improvement. So we can't ask the question that puts the blame on anybody else, the actions on anybody else's actions. That may have caused us failure, but we must ask ourselves, what could I have done better to avoid this failure, or what is so-called failure? So another thing that I try to teach the kids is like failure is like trying to change their attachment to failure. Failure is such a hard and harsh word that a lot of people don't want to walk into it. So kids, like, they'll come in and say they can't pick up the weight, or say they gained a pound this week. Instead of looking at it as failure, it's a lesson. What do we learn over? What do we go over with this lesson? It's something that I try to get myself to do as well, even in business as I go along. It's just trying to find a better emotional attachment to these things called, or whatever failure may be, or whatever it may be, that I mostly attach something negative to. And so this has to be a habit. We must be conscious and aware of all this at all times. Watch who you hang around and their thought process, because it influences yours. It says, watch what you look at, and the things that you may do that may compromise your current way of thinking. And so the understanding that our habits are fueled by our emotional attachments to those actions. So essentially our emotional intelligence, our emotional maturity is key to how far and how fast we grow in life. And that was really key for me in understanding that, especially in business. I've never did any entrepreneurship ever in my life. My dad was military. He was a very secure person. My mom was a teacher. So those are the only things that I knew. And so understanding who I was and understanding that I had to grow myself and I had to push myself, and facing those things led me to realize that my emotional attachments to a lot of these things were what was keeping me back. And so our visions and our words are the vehicle to our end goal, but our emotions are the fuel that get us there. And so it's one of those things, like a lot of times we say that we want something better, but it feels good to have that negative attachment to it. And so it's hard to change. For example, I would say, I want better communication with my wife. But it was hard for me to, when we get into those heated arguments or conversations, to detach myself from the emotion that I had of not wanting to talk, not wanting to speak, not wanting to say anything, and actually face that fear and say something that I knew was going to be positive. And so the ability to do that is to take those emotions and attach them in a different way, I think is huge and is key for especially a lot of the kids. We have to teach them to be aware of their emotions at all times. And that's hard. And the only way that can be done is really with building a solid and an honest and a truthful relationship with them. And so, and I'll say, so emotions defined as a complex reaction pattern involving experimental behavior and psychological elements. Emotions are how individuals deal with matters or situations they find personally insignificant. And so that being said, even in our lives, like I challenge you every day when you're setting these goals, and when you plan them out, challenge yourself to find those areas in your life to where when you see those negative emotions, to sit down and face them, and like, how are you reacting? Be honest with yourself, and look yourself in the mirror. And I when I began to do that, I saw how I could teach and do these things with the kids themselves. I'm a huge advocate of youth, of kids, because those, like you said, they're our future, but not also that. You got to realize they only grow as much as we grow. They only advance as much as we advance emotionally, and it's not all about books at the end of the day. We say, go to college, go do this, go do this. It's really that's part of it, but they need a connection, and they need somebody who's going to show them and coach them. How do you feel through these certain situations? How do I get over being, molested by my parents or by a loved one or by somebody else. How do I do that? And and only way that can do it is to face yourself, really, face those things you're going through, and then taking the time to build these relationships with the kids. So, I mean, that's really all that I had. I just really want us to be, like I said, I'm a big advocate for youth. I'm a big advocate for the kids, that are in our communities. And showing these kids, these are three things that I could just believe that we can help them with. And when they're attaining goals, no, they're not going to know. A lot of them don't know, like my son, he's 15, and I had to get out the habit of saying, hey, you don't know what you want to do, man. You got to figure it out. You need to know right now. That's too much pressure. That's not what it is. And it's really those things of teaching the foundational skills of, hey, being aware of who you are. Hey, understanding how to face these situations that are coming up in life, how to, or facing and being honest with yourself, accepting responsibility for all your actions right now. And then, I think at that point, whatever they decide that they want to do, at that point they'll be successful. I think we just go about it the wrong way a lot of times. And finding these three foundational ways are just, I think are very important. And then also that they help us grow. I know it's helped my business grow. The more that I grow, the more aware that I become about that, the more I'm able to achieve my goals. I shorten the distance that it takes for me to get to point A to point B. And I see that a lot of it is because of attachment issues to a current state that I'm in. It's hard for me to detach of that person that I identified as, and to go on to what's better and bigger for me. And so I really believe that's a big thing that we can help these youth and like I said, ourselves with. So that's all I got.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Give me some snaps. I can't even snap with my right finger. My right finger is my left. Thank you so much. That's awesome. And I know with my daughter, I mean, she's really enjoying working out. I couldn't reach her as a parent. I was pulling my hair out, trying to figure out why isn't this child getting it, And so that's where it starts. It starts with our youth. So I commend you on that. And you're doing a great job with her. And I know not only I bring her over there, but I get some free counseling from you as well, because I'm always picking your brains, So thank you so much, Joseph, for coming and sharing what you do and what you're passionate about with us tonight. Thank you. Any questions for Joseph? Where are you located again? Did you put your contact information in the chat? Yes.
Yeah, I put it in there. I'm in Eastlake, so right by Salt Creek off Hunt Lane. And so we did it unique way. We turned our house into a business. I wanted it that way because I wanted it to feel welcome and homely. Like for example, I'll have people that come over. It's like 2 a.m. in the morning and they're sitting downstairs watching TV, but they need an escape.
Yes.
We don't have a community anymore, and I want to build community. So it's one of those things like, my house is yours, what I have is yours, and I want people to understand and know that, hey, I love you just for who you are. I care for you just for who you are. Ain't nothing different. You know what I mean? The weight, you're not the weight, you're not the depression, you're not that. You're special for yourself. And so that's how our house is. So everybody's welcome over.
I love the massage chair. I just sit there. Thank you. There's a question. Dave, you have a question for us, Joseph?
Yeah, partial question, partial statement. I like what you said about taking a failure as a teaching moment. I know it's so tough when you're in the moment that you're feeling down or something and you just can't pull yourself out of it. What would you have as maybe some advice on how to pull yourself out of that that doldrum, of that really sad, frustrated feeling, to be open to learning something from it?
Like a rut, I think the term sometimes. Is that accurate, Dave? Like a rut, what you're asking?
Yeah, it could be a rut. I mean, it could be a one-time failure, but when you're in the moment and you're facing that that problem that you missed your mark or whatever it was, you have to turn it around and like Joseph was saying, you have to, what can we learn from this? Maybe if you have some thoughts from some of your clients in the past, how do you get them to feel that positivity in the negative experience?
I know first it was just getting them to understand and admitting that, hey, it happened. Denial, I think absolute, not complete admittance of everything fully happened. You can never turn it around and get to it. So our first thing is like, hey, it happened. We feel this way, and it does suck. But the other thing that I try to get them to see is empower them. To me, this is like, the first part is acknowledging the emotion that we have behind it. The second part I try to get them to do is to understand the power of knowledge and the power that you have still within you. And so I always try to offer options on options on options to the tool belt. I call it your tool belt. And so when I get them, I'm like, okay, hey, well, we can do this, we can do this, we can do this. Because in my experience and what I've seen is people without options, when they run out of ammo, that's when they're just like distraught. They emotionally cannot handle it. They emotionally can't take it because they feel like a rat in a corner. Like, I'm done. I can't do anything else. So that's when I offer, hey, well, we got this, we can try this. And the more that we try, the more that they see, the more, the lesson we close that gap from their depression or from their failure to success. Because one of these things got to work, something has to work, and there's something out there for everybody. But the thing is, I think the biggest thing is being with somebody who kind of helps you change that mindset. The people you hang around is big key. But also, I believe in the power of education, the power of knowledge, the power of being able to get more tools in your tool belt to help you get over whatever it is. As soon as you stop that train of knowledge, you hit a dead end. There's no way you can get out, because now you have nothing to look forward to or nothing to wake up and try again to. So.
Okay, good. I like that. Thank you.
Good deal. Any other questions for Joseph? Any other comments? All right. Well, you did a great job. There's no questions. So right now, what we're going to do, we're going to go into breakout rooms, and this is how it's going to work. Each breakout room has a coach that's going to monitor the time. You're going to have 5 minutes, and it's more like a speed dating type of thing. You got 1 minute per person, a little bit, maybe 1.5 minutes, to share about your business. Share what you do. The goal is for folks to walk out of here with a lot of contacts. Here's a caveat. The person with the most contacts gonna have their name twice on the spin wheel, on the wheel of names. That just, increases your chances of winning that $25 gift card towards the end. So I already prepared the rooms, and we have Coach Anne-Marie that's gonna be in room number 1. Anne-Marie, wave your hand. She's gonna monitor the time. If you're going over, Dave, she's gonna reel you in. I'm messing with you. We have Steve Stover is gonna be in room number 2. And we have Dave. I got you in room number 3, Dave. You gotta monitor that time, okay? All right.
Okay, so 5 minutes, 5 minutes total? 5
minutes. So it's now, actually, I'll give you extra, two minutes extra, because this is the first round, okay? So it's 7:28. We'll come back at 7:35. How about that?
Excellent.
Okay, so I'm opening all rooms right now. Join your rooms.